used to sitting at a table with all of you, so it's an absolute honor to be bringing this topic to you. That my goal is to help you do your work even more successfully, to be more impactful with the things that you do. We're going to be talking about writing for busy families because, quite honestly, we live in a busy world. We are all really busy people. I stumbled onto this information about 3 years ago. It's Dr. Todd Rogers' work. He's the professor of public policy. He's at the Harvard Kennedy School of Government. And he was doing a webinar, as so many of us were doing during the pandemic, with your favorite and mine, Karen Mapp. And he was talking about precisely this, how to communicate, how to get through to our busy families. And his work is completely about how can we use the written word to help people make good decisions and achieve better outcomes. But what I want to do today is cut through the noise that's out there. We have a lot coming at us. There's information on the internet. There's stuff in the mailbox still. None of it a letter from your best friend someplace across the country or the world. But then your emails, your text messages, they're personal, their work. There's a lot flying at you. That is the case for all of our families as well. We live in a busy world. We are all busy. Your families may have different things that they're busy with. Their prioritization is different than yours. Our prioritization is different from each other, but we're all busy. So what we want to build is a goal of offering information that is delivered in an equitable fashion and with kindness. What do I mean by a kind message? I want to be respectful of my readers' time. Dr. Rogers likes to impose a couple of rules upon himself. I have tried to adopt these as well. I encourage you to think about it also. No one cares about my message as much as I do. Probably the case, right? You've got to get it out. You know how important the message is that you're getting out. You hope that it becomes important to your reader, but realize that off the bat, the value for them isn't there without reading it, and then that everyone is busier than I am. At least assume that everyone is as busy as you are. It's a busy, busy world. We want to talk about writing well, which is what you know how to do already. You learned that in school. You refined that in college and through your professional endeavors, but what we want to do is move writing well into writing effectively. The good news is that Dr. Rogers has boiled his research and his book down to 6 principles that we're going to go over today. The first thing I want you to do, though, before we dive into the principles, when you sit down and you have a message to get out to your families, take a moment to clarify that goal in your mind. Know exactly what the goal of this message is. The first one is less is more. Okay, it's an adage that we've heard quite a bit, but Dr. Rogers gives this real life. 3 points to consider here. First of all, use fewer words. We all tend to put more words on something than we need to. Here are just a few examples in one of the resources that's available to you in one of the QR codes. Is a list of almost 1,000 examples that Dr. Rogers and his co-author have put together. Costs the sum of costs. Simple as that. Spell out in detail. Spell out. It's so good to just back up and take those extra words out. But less is more can also apply to including fewer ideas. The more you ask your reader to move through, the greater the opportunity for them to check out, to be distracted, whatever the case might be, and make fewer requests. This was a bit of research of his that hit me real big. The more requests you make, the less you're going to get back. In fact, if you can stick with just one request, you have a greater opportunity to get it back. If you ask for more than one thing, you are highly likely not to get anything. So let's move on to principle number 2. Make reading easy. This is going to tie into the plain language that we were talking about beautifully. Use short and common words. You don't have to show off your vocabulary here. Write straightforward sentences and write shorter sentences. When we're reading, there's something called a period pause, and we will stop at a period for a flash of a second to make sure that we have understood what we've read. If it's a longer sentence, there's a chance that we're going to stop at that period, go, whoa, that was a lot, go back and do. We're increasing the chance to lose our reader before they've consumed our full message. So, who's winning here? Everybody, by making the message short and easy to read. Dr. Rogers has broken this down into 3 different areas, the first of which he calls reading, which I'm going to equate to what you do when you're reading the newspaper over your first cup of coffee during the day, or kicking back with that new book that you just got and want to spend some time enjoying some pleasure reading. Reading, as you can see by these gray dots where the eye lands, is taking in almost every word. The eye, the brain, have the ability to capture small groups of words, possibly even 3 at one time. It may also need to stop a couple of times on a word that has multiple syllables. But you're going almost word by word, certainly left to right, and line by line. This is not how you and I and our families consume all of those messages that we get, whether it's a flyer out of a backpack, an email, or a text message. We're probably doing one of the next 2 options. Skimming shows eye tracking that picks up a word here. It roughly goes line by line, but certainly not word by word. And we're hopeful that the gist of what that writing is communicating comes through to the reader. We will look all over the place. We won't even start at the beginning. This one shows they're starting at the 5th line, stops 3 or 4 times, jumps a few lines, reads something else, moves over to the image, goes to some. It's helter-skelter. Something picked up? Yes. The right thing, the correct message, the most important part of it? My money would say probably not. Principle number 3 is design for easy navigation to help those skimming and scanning to pick up the right thing. We need to make key information immediately visible. And this is an acronym that I hope will stick with you. It stuck with me from Dr. Rogers. It's actually something that the Army uses. I believe it's become pervasive to all of the armed services as well as many government departments. BLUF. Bottom line up front. Your most important part becomes visible first. The other items work together, separate distinct ideas, place related ideas together, and order those idea groupings by priority, and then give them headings. And then last of all, he does say, consider using visuals, but I will add in, be careful. We've all heard a picture can be worth 1,000 words. Be absolutely positive that your image, your picture, is worth the words that you would be writing instead. This is point number 5 rather, it goes hand in hand with the navigating, because part of your navigation is going to be formatting, and you want to be careful to use it well, but don't overuse it. Match your formatting to your reader's expectations, and by that he means know where your consistency of understanding is in the formatting. He's done that work for us, and he has found that people at an incredibly high level read importance into highlighting, into bold lettering, and into something that is underlined. Text that is italicized, text that is in all capital letters, and text that's in a colored font get varying degrees of understanding. They may mean different things to different people. And last of all, tell readers why they should care. And I'm sorry, this is actually number 5. This is a reflection point. This is a place where you can step back, you can look at your draft, look at what your goal was at the beginning. Have you truly reflected that in what you have told your readers? Because you don't want them to ask either of these 2 questions and not know what the answer is. Have you emphasized value to the reader? Are they reading something, oh, well, that's nice, but so what? Emphasize which readers should care. Why is this coming to me? And I quite honestly feel that we, as specialists in the area of family engagement, have a really important job of making sure that we answer these questions well. When I do workshops for teachers, I am constantly reminding them to make sure that you are reminding families of their capacities so that they can own them. You're empowering them. And then last of all, make responding easy. I think that we have all very eagerly and happily embraced the tools that have come to us to allow our families to respond easily to things. Google Forms came out, and I think we embraced it. It just gets better and better. It makes it easy to collect information. There are lots of apps that allow parents to sign up for things that we use. We want to be careful to make sure that we are, in fact, using those judiciously. Do we have common buy-in from all areas of our school? Do we have selective items that we're using so we're not continually asking them to learn how to use a new tool? We want to make sure that we simplify the steps that are required to act. Use your directions in the same mode that you're looking at your whole composition. It needs to be easy to consume. Organize your key information so that they know how to take action, and minimize the amount of attention that it needs, because if it's going to sound confusing, they're going to think this is going to be confusing and will push it aside. There are ways around this. These are what you have on your table. You can refer to them, and I want you to know that the QR codes, the first one is that list of almost 1,000 examples that are alternatives for you to get going on what you are writing with. The other one, we're around with. Both of these are free. You do not have to purchase the book to access it. All you need is to read that QR code on your handout. What you do is copy and paste the draft of what you've written into the left-hand side. Hit submit. Dr. Rogers has trained an AI tool with his 6 principles. It will suggest shorter sentences, easier words, better navigating, formatting that's appropriate. Don't let it do the work for you, because you are the one that owns the context of the situation. You know what to pick and choose. but maybe you want some more ideas, so hit submit again. It'll continue to give you new ideas. I've used it. I'm sold. It has made me a better communicator, and I hope it does exactly that for you. Here is to your writing simply and producing better outcomes for your families and students. Thank you so much.